Hi folks, today I've got a Sofirn SP10 to have a look at. So far as I'm aware, there have been 4 models of the SP10. This one is the version 3. There's been a version 1 and 2 obviously, and there's a version C, which is very similar but doesn't include the ATR, which is the advanced temperature regulation. So 4 in total. I think this one would class as being the latest and most up to date. And the first thing from looking at it is, crikey, it's small, isn't it? I mean, let's have a look alongside kind of a standard 18650 type light. And the reason for that is it's running off a single 14500 battery, and it also run from a AA as well. Now the advantage of this type of light running from those types of batteries, let me just grab the 14500 and a AAA there. Size wise they're the same, and this torch will run off either. Performance wise it's completely different depending on which type of battery you are running it from. The 14500s are rated at 3.7 volts, and your standard AA's disposable 1.5 or rechargeable 1.2. Either way, this light will run off any of those varieties. It will affect the performance, which we'll come back to in a moment. Jumping back to the light, it's available just on its own as it is, just the light, or as I've got here, the kit version, which comes with a charger. Just a quick note on the included charger as well, folks. On the bottom it tells us the battery types that it's compatible with, which is quite a wide range, but doesn't include your 1.2 rechargeable AAs. So don't be popping those in this charger and keep to what it says on the back here. I did check with Sofirn as well, and they did confirm it wasn't. This charger was not compatible with your 1.2 rechargeables. USB lead for the charger, the lanyard, the battery, and our manual. Operation wise, really simple. So one click on and a one click off. In the on position, we can just hold and go through our low, medium and high. And a double click takes us to turbo. If it's in turbo, one click takes us back to where we were, another click takes us off. If we're not in turbo, just one click takes us off. Now I find that really handy. In the turbo mode, it really annoys me with some of these lights where you'll press the button and it turns it off. I don't want to go off, I want to go back to where I was. So when using the light I can go turbo, one click takes me back to where I was. And where I was might be on low, for example. Turbo, one click takes me back to where I was. Absolutely brilliant. There's quite a few Sofirns that use that kind of interface, and I really do like it. In terms of build quality, up to Sofirn's usual standard, drop resistant, waterproof, etc. You know, not one of these horrible things that falls out of a Christmas cracker. One of the things that I do always kind of check first, you know, the tail clip. That's always a giveaway to me. Now you can probably see that the amount of pressure I'm putting on that. Is it going to bend or come out of place? No. I don't know, I seem to have a bit of an obsession about that. It does seem to tell you an awful lot, doesn't it, about the light. When you pull it, it just goes bend and breaks. Now in terms of that tail clip, just lingering on this for a second, you can fit it downwards in your pocket like that as well, but also crucially as well, you've got that little nice addition there that you can clip it onto your cap and wear it like that if you wish. Having a quick look at the manual, our run times and performance there are listed differentiated between the 14500 or the AA, low, medium, high and turbo, 10, 100, 350 and 1000 lumens, and you get less with the AA or the AAA. As mentioned, that's down to the differences of the voltages. Your run times are listed there, with a minimum there of an hour on the turbo mode. I'll come back to that. 0.7 on the turbo mode with a AA. Mentioned there about the drop resistance and so forth, your safety instructions, specifications. I'll skip that, I'll come back to that in a moment. Circuit protection, this bit's quite important here, and what this means is if you put in there a unprotected at 14500 battery, the torch will protect the battery for you by detecting when the voltage drops too low and may damage the battery, and it will reduce its output or cut off the power. And it just clarifies there what type of batteries that we can use. Now, jumping back to what I said I was going to skip over, which is the LED tucked in there. This is the version 3, and it has the Samsung LH351D. I can never remember that model. Crucially, that is a 90 CRI LED, and what CRI stands for is Colour Rendering Index, and what that means in English is that the ability of this LED to illuminate a particular item, you know, on the desk or what have you, in a manner that most simulates natural light. And it's really, really important as a matter of preference to some people, and it's really, really important as a matter of necessity for others. I think we've all had this scenario, haven't we? You know, you've seen these LED lights, you turn them on and they give like a horrible, yes, they light things up, but it's kind of an unpleasant, very whitish, washed out type light. The high CRIs, you don't get that. It's a lot more pleasant on the eye, you know, particularly if you're using it at night and you're reading from it and so forth. So I think it's really nice that Sofirn have taken the trouble to produce a light such as this size, the version 3 that we're up to, with the high CRI option. So let's have a look and see how it works. Here's a scenario where the high CRI lights come into their own, this type of work. You know, mechanics, electricians, you know, what have you, where the ability to see colours correctly under the illumination of a torch, for example, looking at this inside of a circuit board or whatever it is, you know, the colours of these wires, it will be really important that those were correctly displayed to me, as opposed to some other types of LEDs that would just simply wash all this out and make the, you know, the colour of these particular wires and components really difficult to spot. So certainly plenty of light as well, you know, power cuts in the home, that type of thing. Scrolling through our modes. Low, medium, high. Plenty of light there, isn't there, just on the high mode alone. And then turbo. Certainly plenty of light as well for sort of around the home, out back in these alleyways, that type of thing. This is just on the high mode, looking down that alleyway there. Turbo if you need it. Really impressive amount of light. How good is that? Hi folks, I've got the SP10. I'm starting off with a standard AA battery in it actually, on high. Let me go to our turbo. And I'm showing you this because usually a single AA powered light, certainly here in the UK, you know, they're okay perhaps in your bedroom or for looking under the bed or something really close. You generally wouldn't use them for outdoors because they just simply haven't got enough oomph behind them. But this little Sofirn has. I mean, just on the AA alone, I don't think that is bad. You know, and we're bordering on something that is actually useful for outdoor usage. And I forgot to put a picture where I was, didn't I? Let me add that in. Moving around kind of closer. I think that's pretty good, don't you? Let me move over to the good part. Final attempt at the 14500. So I've switched over, folks, now to the 14500 and the Sofirn. This is on its high mode. That's probably about the same as the turbo on the AA, isn't it? But the AA can't do that and give us 1000 lumens on a turbo blast, which I think you'll agree you just would not expect that type of output from a light of this size. And then really handy again, the one click takes us back to where we were. I can't emphasize how useful I actually find that, you know, the double click, one click back to where we were, really easy to use. You know, you just can't go wrong with that, can you? Now I was interested in how long is this turbo actually going to last for, and I got about just over 2 minutes before it started to step down, and the step down wasn't that harsh. I struggled to notice it, and the ATR was doing a really good job. That's the advanced temperature regulation, was doing a fantastic job of maintaining a temperature of around 55, just a bit more. So it's a warm running little light, to say the least, but it really held its output particularly well. I have put a section on the end of the video that you can have a look at if you want, or yourself, or you can take my word for it. And what I found was that sitting on my desk, you know, hitting turbo until the ATR took it down a bit, and then hitting turbo again. I lost count of how many times, but I was running it on turbo for as long as I possibly could, and I've got a good 30 minutes of absolutely abusing that turbo function, and without losing any, you know, massive or huge drop downs. Yes, it was backing off a little bit because of the temperature, but not ridiculous, you know, as in, you know, super bright and then dropping down to something really dim. So overall, particularly for the cost, I think the kit version of these is running about $22–23, something like that. A fantastic little light, and I hope that this outdoor footage and what I've explained proves it to you. Thanks, folks. So what I'm going to do here is get my fully charged battery, and then try a couple of things. In the first instance, I'm going to go straight for turbo and get that on the right way. Go straight to turbo and see how long we get on the turbo. And then I'm not going to turn it off, or going to try not to turn it off, and I'm going to leave it running and see what we get and our total and overall runtime. There's our turbo mode. What are we reading on the lux meter? 88. Let's leave that going. Just over 2 minutes in. Our lights heating up quite nicely there, and a slight backing off in the output, but not a great deal. I didn't actually notice it, to be honest, not with my eye. Folks, we're just over 28 minutes now. As you can see, or hopefully, in fact, I think I've caught that just in time, haven't I? I don't know if you noticed that. Yeah, there we go. The manual states a runtime of 0.7 on turbo. I've been repeatedly hitting turbo. I've lost count of how many times I've hit the turbo, and it does say that it will back itself off when the battery voltage is getting too low. 28 minutes, regardless of the temperature, it's not going to hold turbo for us any now. So our battery is just about coming to an end. So I think that is really impressive. Yeah, there we go. Temperature wise, you can see I've been kind of checking as we've gone through. It's dropping off now, but we were holding, well, the ATR was working as intended. It was backing the turbo off. I wasn't seeing any significant reductions in the output that you get with some of these lights. You know, you get this super bright and then all of a sudden they drop to next to nothing. It was running nice and warm, bordering on hot, shall we say, around the 55 towards 60 mark, lowering itself accordingly when it needed to, but not drastically so. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm going to stop now at that point and declare the battery ready for a recharge at 30 minutes. Just quickly pop that on charge again, folks, just to see when the battery protection started to kick in and what type of voltage we dropped to. So it was around 3.1 again, as per the manual, so that's great.